Okay, so as we move on to this edition of P4P, so today we are going to be learning a lot on virtual program, how to navigate through virtual. But first, who are we? Okay, so P4P Talk is developing professional individuals and team using experts inside that are appropriate for personal development, business growth, and career advancement. And P4P Talks is powered by P4P Institute. P4P Talks is actually brought out from our learning and development system. And so who are we as P4P Institute? We provide cutting-edge solutions. We bring professionals and business discipline standards, and we go to HR function. We are a HR Nigeria company with a global outlook. We also deliver superior people, clients, and shareholders value. So what is our brand? What are we known for? Like I say, we are P4P Institute. We run different business goals. We also run different products and services. We run not just physical products and services, we also run online services for people's needs. And part of this training, also this learning, also you can also get learning through our e-learning platform, which is provarsity.co. There you can get a lot of our trainings that you can actually take at your space. We also have other products like our Let's Read Club. You can subscribe to through our Let's Read Club, and you get to read a book every day in just 15 minutes. A book that will take you about 2 days to read. You read it in 15 minutes, even on your way to work or on your way back home. We'll also have our annual HR Outlook. Our annual HR Outlook comes up every year around February. It's an HR Outlook that speaks about the burning HR and how HR affects the society and the workforce. It brings about different HR individuals, professional, and different people to talk about areas in HR. We also have other products, our HR Recruiter. Our HR Recruiter is an ATS that we use as a means of recruiting people that are seeking for a job, and also other organizations that need candidates for one job or the other, and so many more that we need to talk about. What is our solutions? We have HR solutions, we have career solutions, business solutions, entrepreneurship solutions, talent management solutions, and also training programs like you are attending now. I'm going to be your host today, and my name is Gloria Omude. I'm the team lead of our learning and development department right now. So this program is actually one of our own, and just to come and also share our ideas and learning to individuals. So what's our topic today? Our topic is virtual manager. And this virtual manager is a new manager skills development for new managers that are just coming in, and also people that are in that position. And perhaps you're struggling in your position and you need to gain traction in your position. So this is a virtual, and this is not just for the physical managing alone, also virtually. I know because of the world today, we are in the virtual era now. So there are lots of virtual managerial role that is going on in the world today. Please, as you join this session today, we have some session protocol. One, we need you to please mute your audio and turn off your video too, and also your phones and the rest, so that it will not be interjecting with the training. And also you may ask a question on the facilitation invitation if you need to speak. Questions, comments, and concerns should be typed in the comment section, and we actually treat every questions and answers as they come in. Our facilitator today is no other than Joel Omike. Who is Joel Omike? Joel is a global HR professional, a speaker, a trainer, and a coach. He's also an entrepreneur. Joel has over 9 years experience in his field, and he has been really doing well in his experience. He's been satisfied with a lot of certification, DBA, GPHR, PMP, SHR, and SPHR, and he's also been involved in a lot of projects and the rest. He has worked in 8 sectors through industry. He has trained over 81 organizations. He's the CEO and the MD of P4P Institute, and he has written a lot of books. You can actually reach him through his personal details, which is on right now, as we can see. So I'm going to leave it to Mr. Joel to take over from here. Thank you all. So Mr. Joel, over to you.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Welcome again to this session. If you can hear me, please type yes on your chat system. Please type yes. Okay, so I got a response from Samuel. Who else is out there? If you can hear me, please type yes. Okay, my video is off. Yes. Who else? Samuel just said yes. Who else is there? Okay, I assume the rest will join us in a bit. So let's carry on, and hopefully that you will join the conversation very soon. Oh, Lekon, thanks. Benedicta, thanks. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So the discussion this afternoon is centered around the virtual manager. How do you use strategies that have been proven over time? Virtual management did not just start in the past 1 year, it's been around for a while. What are the strategies that has been successful, and what can you adopt in order to be successful in your role? How do you create engagement and enthusiasm for your team members? And how do you effectively deliver results that are expected for all members of your team? These are some of the things we shall look at in our conversation today. Okay. By means of a quick conversation, the workforce is changing, the working environment is changing. More and more companies are beginning to go virtual. Work from home is becoming popular. Remote work is becoming popular. But the question remains, how do teams stay effective despite the fact that they have less in-person interactions? There are increasing efficiencies and productivity that will
Hello, everyone. Sorry, apologies. The facilitator is coming up soon. His network went offline. Apologies.
Hello, Mr. Joel, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know about that. Again. So I was discussing our learning plan. What are we going to share in the next 2 hours or thereabouts? We will first be very clear about what makes a virtual team and why that definition is very important to us today. And then we evaluate the various challenges and opportunities that leads to having a virtual team. And then we'll look at what are the competencies that a line manager should have. What are the skills a manager should have for him to be successful in driving his team as much as possible? So there is a bad weather around where I am. It is raining. So in case if the network goes out again, please hang on. I will reconnect again as we progress. So by definition, what really is a virtual team? What makes a team virtual? Well, a lot of definitions has been said in this particular area, and there's disagreements about what makes a virtual team. If I ask you, please chat on the chat box, what will you say a virtual team is? Please join me in this conversation. What is a virtual team? What will you say? If you are unable to chat, you can also unmute yourself and speak at this point in time. What will you say a virtual team is?
For me, a virtual team is a team that cannot meet face-to-face in a particular venue, but they can meet online to execute their business.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Lakon has also responded. Yes, we heard you, Kate. Kate, we heard you very clearly. Thank you, Kate. So Kate said they can't meet in a particular space, but they can meet online. Lakon has also responded. He says a team that is present in different geographic locations. Samuel also said a team of people who work and collaborate remotely. Now, I like the use of the word collaborate. Then Benedicta says a team who meets online to execute a project or assignment, as the case may be. Thank you. Interestingly, various people have various opinions about what makes a virtual team. There are those who disagree with some of these definitions, but there's one thing we found common in all definitions. There must be a need to use technology. Cindy has waded in. She says a virtual team is also known as a remote team, a group of people who interact through electronic communication. And I like that expression, electronic, which agrees with all definitions. There must be technology in place. Technology is the medium for which they interact and engage, all right? So by definition, a virtual team dependent group of individuals, please note that word interdependent, who predominantly use technology in order for them to communicate, to collaborate, share information, and then achieve the objectives that they are pursuing at that point in time. Interdependent means that each team member depends on another team member to be successful. So it doesn't mean that they are independent. Independent means that I don't need the other team members for us to work. So your output is the input of another team member. Your failure results in the failure of other team members. That's why we say, by definition, there is a group of people who interdependently pursue a common goal to achieve a result at that point in time. Now, what are the opportunities that is driving virtualization, that is making teams go virtual? First, the world is going global. So there's as soon as possible. Second, talent is now available in various lands. In today's world, you have people working from India, from US, working in Nigeria, and the same team, delivering similar results. There's also an increase in the diversity of perspective, diversity of opinion, thoughts, ideas and what can be shared at that point in time. And the attempt is to reduce costs. Can we reduce the cost of doing business? Because when we do virtual, most probably we'll reduce the cost of doing business. And then it also improves work-life balance. Those employees always say, I want to be closer to my family. It is an opportunity. Those say that they want to have some extra time to do some personal thing, or I want the freedom to come to work when I want and close when I want. Virtualization is a opportunity to do these particular things. Now, what are the critical success factors for team members who are operating virtually? There are a lot of critical success factors that will drive this. For example, there are different types of virtual teams. So the success factor depends on the type of the team that we have at that point in time. There's a team that is called product development team. They are focused on building a solution, building a product. You find them a lot in the IT environment. They're building a software, they're building a solution. They are designing something, so they are putting something together. They have a start to finish, and then they're able to produce something tangible that can be used in the organization. There's also a knowledge transfer team, a team that is developing information, piece of information, researching it, bringing it together, and then sharing it across to various individuals. This team works continuously as they develop those particular information. Consultants fall into this particular team a lot. Then there's also the management team, who are supervisors who orchestrate and manage across various models to ensure that the job is done in the organization. Then there's also project team members. And project teams are teams that are based on trying to create something that is unique that didn't exist previously. And so they work towards fulfilling that at that point in time. A project team is different from a product development team. A project team has a solution they're trying to build, and they build it once and the team is disbanded. But a product development team may be a collection of people who are producing the same product depending on the request of the client or the customers, like an order service. So an order comes in, the team works together, creates the order and dispatches it. They wait for the next order, they create it and they disperse it. So it's much more operational in nature, as the case may be. Now here is what we call the pyramid of success. When it comes to virtual team, there is a pyramid of success. Starting from a precondition, what must be there before we succeed, all the way to the last success factor. One, without technology, there is no virtual team. I mean, I don't know how you want to do it. There's no system for reaching out, for collaborating, for talking, for engaging, then there's no team at all. Then there's also setting objectives. There must be a goal. We must set goals that the team is pursuing. There must be skills and competencies that those team members must have for them to be able to deliver on that goal using the technology in question. Then there must be a line manager or a team leader or a virtual team leader that ensures that all these are put together to achieve the goals required. All team members must communicate. They must communicate amongst themselves very, very well. If you're a team member and you struggle to communicate with other people, either because you don't like their culture, you don't like their personality, or you don't like the way they approach things, then you are a cog in the wheel of the entire team, even if it is not your fault at that point in time. Then there's also team culture. How do we act? How do we behave? How do we engage? What's our timeline like? Do we allow team members to share experiences, share conversations at any time? Or do we wait until when a formal meeting is called before engagement happens? So this pyramid determines the success a team can have at any point in time within the organization. Now, we mentioned technology as the foundation. If you remember here, we mentioned technology as a precondition, the foundation for success of virtual teams. Well, when it comes to technology, there are standard tools that you must have to be successful. One is a mobile phone or a cell phone. The second one is a laptop. These two are indisposable. You cannot have or play in a virtual team without these two tools. Why do we say so? Well, for this mobile phone, what we mean is a smartphone, because you need to install some applications that enables you to either do the work, collaborate, share documents, or share experiences, or quickly chat with individuals. And the mobile phone is the right application for that. Then the laptop allows you to actually carry out the work, whatever it is that the work that needs to be done. You can do that on your laptop, depending on what example of job is required to be done at that point in time. Now, it is not compulsory that it must be a laptop. There are other things. You can have a desktop at home. You can have an all-in-one, so long as it is powered and you have access to the internet, and you can use it at any point in time. Other applications are things like email, your collaboration softwares, and then your teleconferencing software. Emails, your Microsoft Outlook, your Gmail, whatever platform you're using. Collaboration platform, your collaboration platform can be Slack, it can be Podlancer, it can be that. Your teleconferencing platform, it can be Zoom, it can be Microsoft Meetings, whatever the case is that works for you at that point in time. Organizations use other kinds of schedules and equipment, so like your electronic schedule, for booking appointments, for planning work along those areas. And then your intranet. Some people use Dropbox, some use SharePoint. These are document management and document sharing platforms that you can use. Then there's also video conferencing. In today's world, video conferencing is not easy. It is affordable. For example, we are using Zoom now. Zoom is free, so you can use it to be able to have meetings, but there are restrictions, and it is a data guzzler. Once you load data on your platform, before you know it, Zoom will drain it at that point in time. Microsoft Teams is worse. It is said that Microsoft Teams consumes 1.7 times the volume of data that your Zoom consumes, largely because Microsoft Teams is integrated into another platform entirely. And sometimes quality is low. Like if your network provider is not a fast provider, I'm sure from your end, you'll be hearing me speaking very slowly, as if I have water in my mouth. At the end of the day, what is said will not be very clear. Data quality may be, video quality may be low. And sometimes you join some virtual meetings, they say, please turn off your video so that we can see the message properly, or we can hear him properly. Either way, with all these shortcomings, video conferencing has added value today, although those values can be limited depending on how you're accessing it at that point in time. And then there are whiteboards. Whiteboards are used for collaboration. Let me give you an example of a whiteboard. So if I share a whiteboard here, let me quickly share a whiteboard. So here's a whiteboard. I'm going to share a whiteboard. So you can see my screen now. My screen has gone blank. This is a whiteboard. A whiteboard allows you to draw. It allows you to configure and show what you are illustrating with your various team members. So each person can interact. Okay, people can interact at that point in time to be able to do the same thing with everybody. Now, let me see if I can invite you to this particular place. Now, if you're out there, try and see if you can draw on this board. Look at the top of your screen, look at your controls, and look for the annotation, and try and draw on this screen. Let me see if you can draw. Try and do this, let's see. Try and draw, let me see. Just click on any of the annotation. Click on annotation, beautiful. Someone is drawing, Kate has drawn. Good, someone else please draw something. Wonderful, wonderful. So that's an example of a collaboration. So Kate, if I draw this now, I say, please put a graph, show me a line through this, let me see what it looks like. So I'm having a conversation with Kate or other members of the team, and I say, please draw on it. So you see, Kate has drawn what her graph is like. And if this is not what I wanted to see, I expected the graph to look like this. So you see, it's an example of a collaboration tool. Fantastic. Samuel has said a hello. Leko has written his name. So that's what your whiteboard does. It allows the virtual manager to engage with his team, even on the same board, as if we're on the same chalkboard inside the office. We have the same marker. All of us are on the board, and we're drawing at that point in time. So let's use a text message to say, thank you all. So that's an example of what the whiteboard does for us, okay? So I'm going to switch back from the whiteboard now. I'm going to go back to my presentation. Thank you for getting involved. So that's what your whiteboard does. So it helps us to collaborate and be actively engaged in our conversation online with our team members, okay? The second thing about technology we need to know is that we need to provide equal technology team members. So if you have a 4-man team, for example, and you're the leader of that team, you must provide the same volume of data, the same access of information to the various team members. If not, so when we join and come online, some will complain that it's because they are using this network. That's why their data is not working. That's why it is slow. And they cannot perform or join well. You need to check to ensure that your team members are in sync with you at that point in time. All right? Then what are the support we need when it comes to technology? We need communication tools, we need collaboration tools, we need coordination, we need to be able to share information, and then we need to have opportunities interaction. What does opportunities interaction mean at this point? It means that at any point in time, because of the access to technology, you can quickly call for a conversation. You can just pick up your phone instantly and do a video call or WhatsApp with any of your team members. You can quickly share a document. This is what I'm working on. Please make an input. And instantly, everybody gets involved at that point in time. That's an example of an opportunity interaction. And this example was what you do in the office. If you're stuck with somebody, you carry a laptop, you carry a work schedule, you go to the next office, you go to the next colleague and say, please, show me this, show me this. Technology allows you to do that. So it reduces the possibility, the impossibility of us working remotely from various areas. Now, when it comes to setting objectives, there is certain things you must note. A virtual kickoff is not a very good kickoff. That's why it's always best to meet first in person before we start working virtually. Objectives are best set face to face, so I can have a conversation with your line manager and with your team members. So when you're engaging your team, it is best that the first time, before we go virtual to do the work, we should have an online conversation at that point in time. Then goals are more important in a virtual setting because it helps us to be able to work very well, to take care of the various norms and the various activities that we're doing at that point in time. So adjusting the direction of the team is more important. It's more important for us to be able to do the work very well at that point in time. Another thing to pay attention to is what are the competencies required in order to work very well virtually. Please, the requirement, one of them is English language. English language. Everybody must speak English very well. If not, so there'll be a lot of miscommunication in our conversations. 2, self-management. People must be able to manage themselves. You should not be pursuing your team members to do the work they're supposed to be doing. And you come and say, okay, sorry, I forgot. I work on it now. It's unacceptable. Once we are virtual, every team member must be able to manage himself self. If he cannot be a self-manager of himself, he is not best for a virtual work. Let that person go to work, the physical office, where he will meet a supervisor that will guide him and micromanage him on a daily basis. Then discipline, we also need to be disciplined and show mutual respect and be result-oriented in every place we're doing. In addition with some of these requirements I've mentioned, there are some additional competencies like technical skills. You must know the job. Networking skill, you should be able to have a good rapport and conversation with people, which includes social skills also. Learn how to say good morning. Learn how to say thank you. When team members join a session when we're gisting, learn how to say, hi, how are you doing? How was your day? And avoid backbiting or keeping malice with other individuals because it affects the productivity of the team at that point in time. It is worse if it is the manager himself that does not have social skills, and there will be serious troubles at that point in time. Now, leadership, motivation and evaluation is more difficult in a virtual team. It is difficult for you to motivate somebody you cannot see. I mean, when you see him virtually on the conferencing, You can only tell the extent to which he's feeling or he's looking at that point in time. So you cannot really evaluate where he is currently and be able to offer him some measure of motivation. So virtual team is difficult to motivate. However, as a line manager, as a virtual manager, you have to be damn good motivating and evaluating your team members. Virtual team members tend to focus solely on the job to be done. Once they check in on an employee, where are we? Where can I get this document? You are too behind time. So his conversations or her conversations always are focused on the outputs and not on the person who is doing the job at that point in time. You need to be able to coach very well as much as you require the job to be done at that point in time. Okay? And then managers need to be sensitive to signals they are seeing from employees, especially all of us from Africa or Nigeria, this part of the world. We speak a lot with our body language. We use body language to talk a lot. And based on our body language and our interaction, we end up not seeing somebody who has body language may end up not understanding what is being said at that point in time. Now, according to Johansson, he says that it's difficult to interpret delays, unreturned emails, hesitancies. Molehills become mountains, and oversights look like insults. So when a manager sends a job to an employee and the employee has an oversight and did not notice it, and then the manager reminds him, sorry, I didn't notice. The manager feels insulted that the person is not paying attention, he's not doing his work well, or that he's slacking, taking it serious at that point in time. Now, some of these challenges I've mentioned, which of them have you seen so far? Before I look at communication, which of these challenges have you seen so far in your own environment? You can chat or you can unmute yourself and speak.
I'll say virtually all, because body language, sometimes the unspoken can be misinterpreted. And sometimes what you say can even be misinterpreted, because when you see physically, it's easier for you to explain. So the person can feel your pulse. They understand better what the information or what you're trying to communicate. So I think that virtually everything that you've mentioned is what some of us have experienced during virtual interactions.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Benedicta also says, all is what I have experienced as well. Okay, thanks. So these are realities. Okay, thank you very much. There are issues with communication. Yes, Cindy concurs with what Fumi just said. People find it much easier to reject something by email than in face-to-face meeting. In a face-to-face meeting, people are more agreeable than email, because email sometimes is too formal, too straight-jacketed. It doesn't give the opportunity for the other person to air his views, to air his constraints and concerns at that point in time. So people tend to either reject what was sent by email or ignore it most of the time. This is why sometimes you notice that people do not respond to your email. You wonder why. So you have to respond severally. Do a reminder, first reminder, second reminder, third reminder, before people now begin to pay attention or respond to what you at that point in time. Now, the rules of engagement are more important because correcting behavior is difficult. So up front, agree with your virtual team. How are we going to engage? How are we going to have our conversations at that point in time? How do we deliver results? How do we show that we're able to achieve the expectations that we need to do as we make progress? The second thing is that the medium should be aligned with the message that is being sent and the richness of the message. Please do not be attaching a 100 megabyte document through WhatsApp. People prefer to have access to that through their collaboration tool so that they can access it with one. Please do not attach a 20, 30 megabyte via email. People It will slow down their email, it will clog their email. In some cases, said the email will not go. It may not receive once they have response. These are some things we have to be careful and conscious about. Do not share an information that you expect everybody to see within the team, and you share it through WhatsApp. I've known a line manager some time ago who queried his team member for not responding to a post that the manager put on his status. And the manager was like, didn't you see it on my status? That's to show you that I wanted you to respond it. So we must be very clear on what medium of communication is and how it should be used at that point in time. Then the last one on the apex of that, our pyramid, remember our pyramid is team culture. So team culture. To share. Admin, please enable me to share again. So I was trying to describe earlier that we are now at the last level. Admin, if you're there, please enable me to share. It is wherever we're coming from. It is difficult for us to respond as much as possible. We are not able to do everything very well. You know, when you use environment, there's this spirit in the office that makes you to behave in a particular way, that forces you to comply with the culture of that particular organization. But when you leave the office environment and you're outside, maybe operating from home, your normal person, your normal culture, your national culture instantly becomes common at that point in time. And then it's easier for you to continue to be who you are. Now, that has problems when it comes to the work environment. So cultural differences are magnified. That thing about you that I didn't like in the office, when we are working virtually, it is worse. Because then your real person begins to show at that point in time. Now, the line manager needs to deal with this cultural and people as much as possible. One, more tolerant. Secondly, to understand that they are still working in a team and downplay their personal cultures as much as possible. So trust is more difficult to establish in a virtual team, but it is very, very important. Without us, we can't do anything, we can't do much. Face-to-face meetings are necessary in order for you to create a common ground. So periodically run a face-to-face meeting, face-to-face session, so that people can engage and have conversations. Then team culture practices, that is the practices so far, what we've said so far is that virtual teamwork offers opportunities for organizations to work more creatively and more efficiently. The technology that is used still has a shortcoming. It is not perfect, especially in this part of the world where technology is expensive and where we are still learning how to use those technologies. Then the effective virtual teamwork requires a new way of working, and that new way of working must include communication, include people management skills, must also include respect and trust for other individuals, which are the values we're talking about, and must be focused on the goals and objectives that we need to deliver at this point in time. Now, what are some of the team challenges? What are some of the challenges that a team has when they do their work? Let's look at the manager's challenge first. The manager has some challenges when he's working in a team, in a virtual team. How does he track the progress of team members? How does he coordinate the task that is going on at that point in time? How does he measure people's performance since he's not seeing them regularly? Especially those managers that used to measure his employees' performance based on how long the employee stays in the office. Okay, based on how many employee enters his office to greet him. Okay, some managers will have troubles being able to measure virtual team progress at that point. How do they build trust? How do they sense if there is two team members in the office environment so that they can quickly address that issue immediately? How do they spot who is talented, who is generating results immediately? These are challenges that they will have. And communication without the use of non-verbal cues. That is, how can a manager communicate without using expressions or body languages that people may not understand? Because just as you say there are cultural issues, the manager is also human. He has his own cultural issue also, and need to take note of. For team members, what are their challenges? Some of them have problem accessing the manager. The manager is too busy. Maybe a team that has up to 10 people. When you want to talk to your manager, that's when he's talking to other team members. You can try the whole day. You notice that you're not able to access your manager throughout that particular day. Being able to get constructive feedback that will motivate you from your managers and from other team members may also be an issue. Receiving information at the right time in the right context may also be a constraint. You may even feel a lack of trust for other team members, okay? And then you may have a special talent that the other ones do not have, and they are not recognizing that particular talent. And then also being able to communicate well without you telling people, didn't you people notice when I was shaking my head? You didn't know what the shake of my head means. So you must be able to work well in the team and address these particular challenges. Those challenges that he has, and the team needs to address those particular challenges for him to be successful as much as possible. Now, if you work in HR and you're a HR manager, what is your role in ensuring that the virtual manager is successful? There are 3 roles that the HR manager has for him to be successful. One of the roles is that he needs to be proactive. The HR person needs to be very, very proactive and recognize virtual team trends in his organization, recognize virtual team issues that are coming up, and be able to address it before they become an issue within the organization. The second thing is that he has to be strategic. He has to plan ahead and implement procedures that support virtual team, that supports virtualization, and ensure that everybody is well equipped to be able to do his work excellently well. And then finally, build capabilities. Help your managers to manage virtually. Help them to build. Okay, sorry about that again. This was a long one, and I'm trying to stabilize the network. I may need to switch device if this happens again in a minute or two, okay? Okay, so here are the competencies and skills that a manager and a team member needs to have to be successful on what they are doing. He must be able to coach and monitor. He must also be good at the use of appropriate technology across. And then he must be able to manage across various cultures. In our environment, as an example, he must be good Igbo culture, Yoruba culture, how culture, depending on the background of the team members that he has. He must be able to build and win the trust of his team members and then maintain that particular trust also. For team members, on the other hand, they must be able to manage their projects, all those given to them effectively. Then, like I said earlier, they must have self-management skills. They must be able to manage themselves. They shouldn't be reminded of what they are doing or they are supposed to be doing. And then they should have interpersonal skills and interpersonal awareness. They are Okay, so I'm going to switch over to use Gloria's laptop. Perhaps that will be better for me. Okay, so there are some 10 commandments that we need to have. 10 commandments. Okay, my laptop has come on. Okay.
You're muted, please.
Oh, okay, I was muted. Okay, so any lingering thoughts on what we've covered? My next conversation is on the 10 commandments, what we must do successfully, and also on the various things that drives engagement that the manager can do, games and activities he can get involved in to drive. Any other lingering thoughts or questions from what we've said so far before I move into this conversation?
No question from me.
I would have asked how possible it is to effectively manage productivity or measure productivity with the use of virtual means, because I realize that managing performance is a very big deal. You know, so if you can just touch on that a bit, it will help. You know, talking about the manager's role and team members' role in the light of working remotely.
Okay, so one of the things we said was on setting goals and keeping. This is very important because when you set goals and keep goals and KPIs, and then be able to manage these goals, there's what is called performance checking. If you have a formal performance platform that you use, you can use that particular platform to check periodically to see whether the employee is doing well or not. If you do not have such a platform in use in the organization, then it is best that you do based on an Excel. You agree on a monthly basis, what are the key result areas? What are the measures of those particular areas, and what are the targets that needs to be delivered at that point in time? If you have clarity in this area, then you can be able to deliver the kind of results that the employee will be able to create value for the employee at that point in time. Other than that, it will be difficult for you to manage performance of the employee. But it is important that the manager sets these particular key result areas and conversations regularly. If not so, he will not be able to manage results and performance effectively. So that's my response to that question.
Thank you, sir.
Again, what that means also is that the upfront, the organization must have a performance management system in place. If you don't already have a performance management system in place, it will give you some kind of difficulty to be able to manage things very well at that point in time. Okay, so any other question? Any other question from the team? Okay, so if there's no question, let's just go to the 10 commandments and see how to use this effectively. So the 10 commandments. So virtual teams are, like we said earlier, is now a norm everywhere. About 79 to 80% of organizations today have gone virtual. Either a percentage of their workforce or all of their workforce are online. Now, with more teams going virtual, it is very, very important for us to arm ourselves with a few information and productivity reasons on how to get it right as much as possible. And I'm going to share about 10 of them that we need to do to be successful. The first commandment is you must communicate. Thou shalt communicate. Don't say I'm an introvert. I am not the talking type. It's a lie. If you work virtually, you must speak. You must engage because people are not with you physically. We can't read body language. We can't read where we cannot find you. For example, the conversation I'm having with you now, my video is not on. So you cannot tell whether I'm smiling or I'm frowning or something like that. So it's just my voice you're hearing. It's very important that you are able to communicate, because communication is very crucial. What's the trick to communicating? What is the best value for you to drive communication? The best way to drive communication is to use instant messaging platforms. And the nearest and easiest one is WhatsApp. If you use WhatsApp, you can easily talk to any team member. Most teams have a WhatsApp group. So if you need to talk to everybody within the group, instantly, you can send a message to everybody in the group. But if it is one person you need to talk to within the group, you can go to your contact list of that individual and chat with the person immediately. Keeping in touch with the entire team on a regular basis will keep the bond going between the manager and his team members as much as possible. This is very, very key. The second commandment is that you must dress up for your meeting. Some people think that watching virtually means that I can look anyhow I want. Please, it is unacceptable. You can't even wear only shirts and then wear your boxers, or wear only a t-shirt and then wear anything you want below. It is not good enough, because anything can happen that require you to get up. You will not remember at that point in time, and then you embarrass all of us at that point. So it is very, very key that you dress up very well. You are dressed as you are dressed. If you dress properly, you will earn the respect of your team members and the trust of the team members also throughout your conversation with them. Now, how are you going to be able to dress very well? You don't have to adhere to a business dress code. You don't have to do that within the organization. You don't have to address to look like a businessman, so to speak. But a business casual is okay. A clean shirt, a plain t-shirt without any logo or signs on it are very respectable. And you can do that at that point in time. Okay? Neither can you sit down on your desk with you have not showered, you've not cleaned up, you're still looking like you just woke up from bed. That is not acceptable. When we talk about dress code, it also includes your grooming, your look at that point in time. We haven't said you should go and make up for our ladies. We haven't said you should go and make up, but at least by the minimum, pack your hair. Make yourself look presentable at that point in time. Wear something that is comfortable and appropriate for the meeting you're going to have with your colleagues at that point in time. They will respect you. You also show respect to them also. The third commandment when it comes to virtual work is you must use the right tools. If the communication you're having at that point in time requires email, please send an email, use an email. If it requires an instant messenger, use an instant messenger. Please do not send somebody an email. For example, you just want to catch up with your team members. You send an email, hi, how are you doing? And you send it as email. No, that's the wrong use of email. Hi, how are you doing? Belongs to WhatsApp. It belongs to a chat system. In fact, it's not even SMS. You can't send hi, how are you doing on SMS. It's for instant messaging where people respond to you immediately at that point in time. SMS is used to pass a specific information that must be formal because you can prove by SMS that you've sent that particular message. Then emails are used for highly official communication at that point in time or sharing simple small documents that are required. You can also do phone calls, make a phone call across those individuals. That's very key. Now, how do you get it right with using the right tools? Get in the habit of always using your web camera from time to time. Most communication is non-verbal. So we want to see your body look, we want to see how you're shaking your head, how you're moving yourself and those things. That will help us to determine whether you look good enough for your presentation, whether you're doing the right thing at that point in time, or whether you look like the person we're having a conversation with at that point in time. So those are things we need to see when it comes to your dressing and grooming and the use of tools at that point in time. The next one you need to pay attention to is that you must not be missing in meetings. While others are connected and online, you are not online. And you're the type that has several excuses why you're not online at that point in time. You must always be available for almost all huge team meetings that we plan. If not so, your gap will create issues. How do you do this? Make sure you have work on your time management skills. Don't plan that you can rush and buy groceries, go and buy something from the shop, that you come back quickly in 5 minutes, and meanwhile the meeting in 10 minutes. That is when you go there and where you went to buy something, there's no change. Or the person who you wanted to buy from is not there. You now have to walk down a little bit. And at that point in time, you notice that you have missed the beginning of your meeting and things like that. Please plan into your schedule and your calendar. If possible, use an online system that beeps you, that tells you that you have a meeting coming up. If you have a meeting in 1 hour time, make sure you have something that reminds you in 1 hour, in 30 minutes, in 5 minutes. That way you have a reputation of a team member that is never absent and is always there for other team members as much as possible. The fifth commandment is that you must set office times. What time must you always be online and in the office, virtually speaking? Working remotely can make people feel overworked, tired. Then from time to time, you notice that they are just offline. Especially people who feel that they can wake up anytime in the night and work. So sometimes there are days when you'll have worked into the midnight. And then the following morning, when the team is collaborating and meeting, because you worked too late last night, you fall asleep and you're not available for them. Set work times, especially whatever the team has agreed. And then as a line manager, you can set that rules. A common example is to tell all team members to be logged in between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And they should be back online again between 2 o'clock and 4 p.m. This way, everybody knows when everyone is always around. And at that point in time, we can work with those individuals. Sync your office hours with the rest of your team. So all of us work together at that point in time. If you have team members that are working in other countries, be mindful of time zones. Do not fix meeting at a time that is convenient for you, but is 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for another person. Take, for example, if you set meetings during business hours in Nigeria, it is usually difficult for people in Canada, for people in USA, because their timeline is slightly different from our own. If you set business meeting also, it will also be difficult for people in Ghana, sorry, not Ghana, in India, in South America, in South Africa, because these individuals are 6 hours either behind or ahead of us. So you must of those particular timing as much as possible. Another thing you need to check for the sixth commandment is collaboration. You must collaborate. If there's at least mark that dislike, put it in a box for the sake of collaboration. It doesn't mean that you cannot get away with not collaborating. You must collaborate even though you're working virtually as much as possible, and make a conscious effort to do that. Remember, I was speaking about collaboration. You must use online workspaces in order to collaborate online through forums and discussions. When things are posted that needs your feedback or your concurrence or your words or your information, please respond. Don't be the kind of person that they are always chasing. Say, Joel, then. Be the kind of person that whenever something is posted, you will respond to it. Now, some say, I am not always online. Hello, you are not always online, then you should be coming to office every day. In that case, working virtually is not for you. Because once there's an agreement of the timeline when we're supposed to be online, once you get online, the first thing you do is check all collaboration platforms and see if there's any lingering message that requires attention, so you can quickly address it and then give people the feedback that they need to be able to make progress down the line. Then the seventh commandment: you must use your webcam. Some people say, I don't like my house where I am doing the Zoom, where I'm doing the meeting. I don't like my house environment. Please find one wall of your house that is plain. It doesn't matter whether it's clean or dirty. Find one wall in your house and use it as your back. If you still feel that that wall is not good enough, use virtual background. I was using a virtual background earlier because I was using my laptop. It's configured on my laptop. So use that virtual background. So at any point in time, you can be able to use that to cover anything you feel that people should not see at your back. So it is very, very important that you use virtual backgrounds from time to time if you do not want to be seen, if you don't want your environment to be seen. But what we are saying here is that you must keep your camera on from time to time. Another reason in this part of the world why we don't keep our camera on, because we assume it consumes data. And because it consumes data, we want to reduce our data consumption at that point in time. You can reduce your data consumption from time to time by turning off your camera. But when you want to speak, please turn it on. We want to see who's talking to us. We want to see his facial expression. We want to see what she's talking about. Because sometimes we read more meaning into the body language of a conversation than the words that come from that particular individual. It's our culture, it's our tradition, and that's the way it works for us. And then please, when you do turn on your camera, please dress properly. We cannot overemphasize that. Make sure you're dressed properly as much as possible. It is not enough to have one wrapper by the side. That once you want to come on, you carry the wrapper, put it around your body, and then hold the wrapper like this, and then you're talking and talking. There will be a time when you need to type and the wrapper will leave your body. Please make sure that you dress properly before you come online. This is a business discussion, so you don't set us up wrongly. Then there was a question that was asked earlier: how do you manage performance? Commandment number 8 sets the foundation for performance management. First, you must set goals. If there are no goals, what cannot be measured cannot be managed. If you do not plan to measure it, it will be difficult to manage it at the end of the day. Okay, so set goals. You and your team member as a manager, set goals with your team members. And these goals must be reviewed on a monthly basis, must be set on a monthly basis, and then reviewed periodically. So I can see how well, how quickly, how advancing we are progressing towards that particular goal as much as possible. How do you set goals? First, set long-term goals, goals that needs to be achieved, say in 3 months. Please, for the sake of virtual work, do not set 1 year goal. That's too long for virtual meetings. Set 3 months goal at the maximum. Then break that 3 months goal into monthly. This is April goal, this is May goal, this is June goal. That April goal, break it down into weekly deliverables or task and assignments. Then the weekly deliverables, since you'll be meeting with the team on a weekly basis, break their week's deliverable to daily. Joel, I need a report on Tuesday. Chizoba, I want that document on Wednesday. Chijoke, I want this and this. So each person knows when he's supposed to deliver a specific item based on what he has on his documents, on his goals. And if you do not, as a manager, specifically demand for those things, guess what? Team members who procrastinate will tell you that, don't worry, before the end of the month, I will do it. And guess what? The end of the month will come. He will not hurry to do it. He may do it because he's a guru, he's a G, he's a star, so he does it. But most times it is done suddenly. It is done in a hurry. It is done without attention to detail. This is why it is important to break those goals into smaller values, into smaller ways, so we can manage them effectively at that point in time. Number 9, from time to time, please, let's meet in person. Those shall meet in person. If we just keep working remotely and forget that we are still humans. So we should try to meet in person at least once in a while, depending on what is possible within your environment. If your working environment, based on the remote policy that your organization has, it can be once a week. It can be once in 2 weeks, depending on what projects and assignments that your team members are working on. So that way we can rebuild and rekindle the interaction that we have. If your team is in a different city, then it's difficult to understand. But if we are in the same city, try to make it as often as possible. Again, for the environment where we are, respect social distancing. Okay, avoid getting together in the same place every time because it becomes monotonous and too tiresome. If, assuming 5 of you are working virtually, then this week, let's meet at the KFC. Next week, let's meet in the office. 3 weeks down the line from this point in time, let's meet at the cinema or something like that. That variance keeps a spark of life and excitement on the teamwork. So I will still feel like one, we'll still feel bonded as we continue to work together down the line. If your office has arrangement for office space where you can use and meet regularly, then you can enhance that and use it more often. But as a line manager, please note that whenever you meet, you choose to say, let's meet in a particular location. We won't get to KFC and be staring ourselves. You must at least arrange some cook and drinks for us to be able to engage and feel good at that point. So that becomes part of your budget in meeting regularly with your team members. Finally, commandment number 10, you must build trust. If I trust you, I can work easily with you. If I trust you, I will not be suspecting that you have an ulterior motive when you make assignments, give me assignments and things I'm supposed to do. It is very important for the manager to make a conscious effort to ensure that there are team activities that create bonding, that creates trust amongst us. And these activities can also be online. We'll discuss a few of them. Some online activities that helps us to collaborate and to engage successfully to achieve the kind of results we expect to achieve as we make significant progress. So those are the 10 commandments, right? So let me hear from you. Which of these 10 commandments is more exciting for you, or which ones are you perceive that is a struggle for most team members? Which ones are team members struggling with? You can ask me to go back to any of the commandments. Hello, are we there? Please type yes if you're still with me. Thank you, Benedicta. So thanks, Benedicta.
Okay, sir. For me, sir, I think the 10 commandments are
some of the commandments that we've listed, is there anyone that will have a challenge with?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Hello? Hello, sir.
All right, so I assume there are things we can manage and deal with easily. So I will get into a conversation now on how to manage conflicts. Benedicta is speaking.
Yes, I was speaking earlier, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, sir. I said thank you very much, sir, for the 10 commandments. For my own team, I think everything here are struggles that we are all trying to overcome. Truth be told, before now, I never used to see getting dressed as something that is very, very important. And like you mentioned earlier, communication is very important. Now, communication is not just words spoken, it has to do with body language. And since virtual team, it has less of human interaction, so hence we need to ensure we use webcams, and for that to be effective, we also need to get dressed, and also collaborate. So everything you've mentioned are very important. For me, as a manager, I think my team members will find this very useful, and this would also help me personally to, lead them more effectively. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. On the issue of dressing, once again, it can be excused for team members when they make mistake with dressing. But as a manager, he needs to set an example. Even though it's not convenient for you as a manager, there are days when your t-shirt is you just feel comfortable with it, you're just okay with it. It's a struggle for you to get out of your sofa. Just for the sake of that team, that period that you're going to have that session with them. Most times, team sessions are 30 minutes, 1 hour. For that period, just pull yourself together. Try and do something. Your team will thank you for it because they will learn. When they want to come out for sessions, they will remember the way the manager used to say, no, this does not look like what the manager looks like. So it will make them to make a conscious effort. And over time, it becomes a routine and an easy work for all of us. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so any other feedback? I'm sure it will come in as we continue our conversation. It is difficult to manage conflicts when we have physical meetings. Very difficult when we have physical meetings, much less of in a virtual meeting environment. Much less of a virtual meeting environment. Okay. So my thoughts with us now is to look at conflict. How do we manage conflict virtually? When conflict happens in the physical office, it is difficult to manage it. Sometimes some managers are not very prepared for conflict. Sometimes they don't have the head or the time for conflict. Sometimes they ignore it completely. All right. But when it happens virtually, you will not be able to ignore it. And why you shouldn't ignore it is because one person may require the output of another person. In the office environment, it is easier for one person to come and talk to you, and then you go and address it. But virtually, sometimes they may not even see it as an issue, and the organization is stuck at that point in time. So you need to be able to manage conflict as much as possible. So let's look at some of the issues that drive cases, they are task conflicts. In other times, they are it may make the other team members to not be able to work hand in hand with that person again because they see him or her as the manager's favorite. And because they see him as the manager's favorite, it is difficult for them to relate well with that particular individual most of the time. Okay. Mistrust that comes from email lives. So you send an email to somebody, the person says, I have not seen it. I sent this since yesterday. You have not received it. And I said, okay, I have not seen it. You now be suspecting this person is lying. He does, he's lying, he saw it says he doesn't want to respond. Maybe you now feel that the person wants to respond later, so he's lying that he has not received it. In all honesty and sincerity, email sometimes can lag. You can send an email and it may take some time to deliver, especially if you're using an email client. If you're not logging online to check your email is dropping into an application on your laptop or your system. It may not show at that point in time. And that's something to deal with as much as possible. Then there is also misinterpretation, especially when somebody says something, smiles wrongly, cracks a joke that is suspicious, and you can misinterpret it, and instantly conflict sets in. Then there's also relaxed inhibition. Relaxed inhibition is sometimes when you inhibit somebody, you deny somebody something, but approve for another person. And that person feels that you're also playing favoritism for other team members at that point in time in your team. Okay? Then there's also reaching consensus, which is more difficult because we are working virtually. Opinions will vary and it will take a long time for us to reach a conclusion. Things that when we sit together, we can just talk to ourselves. While we're discussing, you can quickly explain to somebody and the person agrees. But when we are sitting virtually, it becomes more difficult. Explanations are more difficult. And it takes a longer time to make decisions and arrive to necessary conclusions as you will have expected them at that point in time in the organization. So like I said, using the wrong tool for the wrong task, for the right task, can also cause conflicts, okay? Using video conferences to ask simple questions that could have been asked on WhatsApp, that could have been asked on a simple chat. You send a message to all your team members, please, we need to meet, we need to meet. And some managers are firefighting like that. They always say, we need to meet, we need to meet. And then they bring everybody together, only to come and ask one simple question that you could have asked on WhatsApp without dragging us to this particular meeting. And it feels very frustrating. Next time when the manager calls the meeting, you begin to shy away. Say it's for him to just come and ask us how we're doing. Why would you call meeting to ask us how you're doing when you could have asked us directly one-on-one or something like that? So be very clear about the use of each tool so you can deliver the right message to the right team members at that point in time. Okay, so I've spoken about lags in email. I've also spoken tools that not match the tasks that are being done at that point in time. That can create more problems. Then knowledge distribution, I've also said so. When you give the wrong message or the wrong information, or sorry, limited information to a particular team member than you give to other team members, that can also cause conflict. Okay, so let's have another conversation. So far, what is your, other than what we've spoken about on dress code, what are other takeaways you have? Please share the idea with us. What are some of your takeaways from our conversation so far? Please share your takeaway. I can't do this activity now with everyone because I'm not sure everyone is online. People didn't respond initially, so I don't pair us up. And you notice that you're the only one who's there, nobody's talking. So talk to me. Cindy, are you there? Fumi, Kate, Lakon, what are some of your takeaways from our conversation so far? Samuel.
Kate here. One of the takeaways I have is from the 10 Commandments, thou shalt set goals. If you are not able to set measurable goals, it will be more difficult to assess the performance of your reports. For me, that is very key. And I'm happy that it was well explained. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, who else wants to share?
Okay, Lakon here. Can I just go ahead?
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so yeah, very beautiful meeting we had there, and I can say one of the takeaways and an important one for me is thou shalt set office times, because since we have gone virtual, what we have discovered, as I'm speaking to you now, I'm in another meeting, all right? And and because that one just came, and then I quickly, okay, so my other people now are saying they are in multiple meetings at the same time, which normally would not have happened for a one-on-one, what's it called, meeting. That is the first one. Then the second bit of it is that we now also find, one of my colleagues yesterday was complaining that, so they still have discussions till 2 a.m. It's virtual, all right? And then everybody can just start talking. So somebody can wake you up by 5 a.m. and then you now have it back to back to back. But when you set it and let us know that, okay, this is work, and then we have the work times very well, we'll still be able to maintain a work-life balance very well. And then I also want to talk about the setting goals. Like after we have set the goals, we will be able to easily measure and put times where when tasks are being set, because it's virtual, you know, sometimes we could want to crash a lot of things into a little spirit of those that are involved in it. So those are some of the things that I have seen in virtual, and then that we have actually brought up along here. So that would be a question from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other person wants to share? Okay, so fine. Thanks a lot for the conversations. So let's take the last leg of our conversation now, which is what are some of the strategies that ensures that managers are able to retain very well. And please, before I make progress, this issue of timing because of virtual meeting, it's very important that managers are careful. Don't use your personal style of working to now make people inconvenience them. There are standard working hours. Try and live within those particular working hours. I give you a quick experience. It doesn't affect me so much because I'm also a midnight person. And so there's a project I'm involved in, and the project lead on that particular project will have conversations with you all the way till 8 p.m. And then, all the way to 10 p.m. And then he goes to bed. And then at 2 a.m. he's awake. Once he wakes up, the first thing he does is to send messages to all of us to join him in a conversation at 2 a.m. immediately. And that conversation continues from 2 till 6 a.m. And then we're expected to dress up and get ready for formal work again at 8 o'clock the following day. Okay, so that's his own model. He's a high energy, high driven individual. He hardly sleeps. In fact, 3 hours is okay for him and is good to go. But there are some of us who God has designed us to enjoy our sleep, and he's preventing us from rejuvenating properly. And so you notice that sometimes when we come to work 8 a.m. in the morning, when we log on for that meeting, people are rubbing their eyes. He asks questions, they say, we'll get back to you, sir. Because people have not woken up from the way he treated us previously at that point in time. Managers, be careful. Respect people's time. Even though we're not complaining, I knew that a few of our friends, outside the conversation when he's not there, will raise it and say, this guy here, he's not too much. So it's important that you also get some feedback, informal feedback from your team members, and ask them, how are we doing? What do you think should change so that we can improve the way we are working? And act on the feedback you receive. That will help also. So thanks. So let's look at some of the ways we can produce very good retention strategies to drive team members. Here, we're going to share 3 things. One, the 3 C's of retention, the three truths, and then the strategies you can use to implement. I'm going to give you about 14 different strategies that you can use to make this work very well. So let's look at the 3 C's. One thing you should know is that if you create a culture where your remote workers' needs are met, they will give you all their all. Once their needs are met, whatever their needs are, identify that particular need. If you can meet it, they will be dedicated to you. The same thing too with physical team leadership. If you meet the needs of your physical team, they will give you all their time and all their attentions as much as possible. Now here's my promise. I'm going to show you how you can keep your remote workers engaged, how you can keep them enthused, and how you can effectively give them all they need in order to drive as much results as possible. So what are some of the things that we need to do to be able to achieve this? Let's look at first the 3 C's. The 3 C's are connection, communication, and collaboration. Connection, communication, and collaboration. Every team must be connected. Every team must have regular communication, and every team must collaborate. These are very, very important as we make progress with our team management as much as possible, because we need this particular engagement level to be able to produce the kind of results and engagement that will make the team feel happy and excited down the line. So let's look at the first C. We'll start with the first one. The first one there is on first one is on connection. So let's see how you can ensure that there's connection. How do you ensure that there's connection, and then that you are able to use the connection within your team to get them to deliver the kind of value that you want in the work environment? But before I talk about connection, let me talk about Maslow. I'm sure you're familiar with Maslow, right? Maslow told us previously that there is a hierarchy of needs. At the foundation is physiological and safety. Man wants to be safe, wants food, wants shelter, wants clothing. It says at the middle level, the next layer is I want to belong to a team, want to belong to a family, to a group, to a club, to a social association. We want to be part of a team, part of a group. After belonging to a group, the next thing we want to do is we want to be recognized by that group we belong to, and that is self-esteem. Okay, we want to achieve mastery, we want to be recognized, we want to be respected by the team we belong in. The last level of Maslow is self-actualization. We want to pursue our inner talent, our inner craving, our inner creativity, so we can feel fulfilled. Now that's what Maslow said, right? And it has been proven over time that this is true. But when it comes to virtual teams, Maslow was wrong. The foundation of the Maslow's pyramid is not physiology, is not food, is not shelter, is not clothing. The foundation is Wi-Fi. Every team members must have access to the Wi-Fi they need. No Wi-Fi, no work. No Wi-Fi, no team. No virtual team. Without Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi is the foundation of everything. If you like, provide people with food, with shelter, with all those things. If they don't have Wi-Fi, there is no virtual team. So Wi-Fi is the foundation to it. Once you're able to provide Wi-Fi, those 3 things we mentioned will work. You can communicate, you can collaborate, you can connect. But when there is no data, no Wi-Fi, I think one of the telecoms organizations say data is oxygen. So without it, there is absolutely nothing that can be done at that point in time. Now, the first truth is remote employees need connections. Remote employees need to feel their fellow colleagues. They need to feel their managers. You know those small gists that we have in the office? We'll talk about one fashion, talk about one sport, talk about one sport, and then we laugh, we crack a joke. All those are examples of connection. And they help us to feel like we are one in the office environment. What can you do to ensure there is connection with your team members? A manager can do any of these 7 things. You can set up a body system and say, okay, Joel, you are responsible for Edith. Going forward, talk to Edith every day and make sure Edith is fine. Edith, you're responsible for Adamu. Every day, speak to Adamu and find out that all is going on well. Once the manager pairs all of us like this, you notice that there's somebody talking to you. There's somebody engaging you on a daily basis. That way you feel that you are not alone in the work schedule that you're doing. And then if on a monthly basis, the manager rotates the body system, In 3 months, I will have had 3 persons or 4 persons that check on me on a daily basis. And that's a fantastic way of creating connections. Other things the manager can do is to create a happy hour. Maybe once every Friday, we'll come together and have a happy hour, or have a team goal we're working on, or have a mini book review or a bio that we're going to discuss on regularly, or have a recognition roundtable that it does on a monthly basis. This month, let's recognize the person that spoke the most during our meetings. Let's recognize the person that connected the most. Come up with something that you want to recognize. And then be connected to people's soul beyond the work that they are doing. If possible, ask us to turn on our video camera. Let's see your pet at home. Bring your pet. Let's see the pet. So if you have a cat, let's see your cat. If you have a dog, let's see your dog, but don't bring Rottweiler. Show us your basic pets that we're going to work with. So we can feel good, feel connected. Instantly, people know you beyond the work you're doing. And it creates that bond, that connection we're talking about. There was a team I worked with some 2-3 months ago. Actually, we're in Abuja in November. And the person who was leading that particular team, he was in US. He traveled to US. Meanwhile, there were 6 of us at that point in time. 2 persons were not in Abuja. The other 4 were in Abuja. But that period, we were working from the hotel. We were in different locations. He called a pizza organization and requested for all of us to take what pizza that we want. And the pizza was delivered to all of us, to wherever it is where. The pizza organization in Lagos delivered the Lagos zone. The one in Jos delivered the one in Jos. And then the ones in Abuja delivered the ones in Abuja. And then during our session at about 6 p.m., everybody had the pizza and his tea and coffee at that point in time. And we had this fantastic time gisting and connecting at that point in time. Talk about connection. We didn't want that project to end. That's an example of a manager taking action to connect us together along this. So there's plenty of things you can do. The second truth you must pay attention to is that we need to communicate. Every employee needs to communicate. Make sure everybody's video phone is working, their texts and their emails are working very well. Any hurdle, any issues, break it. Try to do one-on-ones regularly, okay? From time to time, have a Q&A session. Come up with some questions you want to ask the team members. Let them respond based on that. Then rotate meeting leadership. Say today, Joel, you're leading the meeting. Next week, okay, you'll be the one leading it. In 2 weeks' time, Davo, you'll be the one to lead the meeting. Instantly, people feel involved, and then they are forced to communicate, okay? And then we get excited about those particular sessions as much as possible. The third truth is collaboration. And in collaboration, it's about working together harmoniously in order to deliver results with limited conflict. There will always be conflict. We are humans. There will always be conflicts. However, collaboration can be done in such a way that it drives better results. For example, make sure you delegate something to everyone. Everybody has something delegated by the manager other than what is in person's task. Then assign problems to small groups. If we are 6 or 7, can you form a group of 2 persons? Say 2 of you pair up, discuss this issue, and come and give us feedback in the later session. That forces people to collaborate, to work together. Okay? They use online collaboration tools. There's a lot of them out there. You can choose any one of them. There's podlancer.com. You can use that. There's Slack. You can use Slack also for collaboration. Even Microsoft Teams, if you subscribe to it, you can also use it for collaboration. Have a team charter. That charter states the purpose of the team, the goals of the team, and what we are going to achieve or deliver in a particular stated time. And every team member has a copy of it. If possible, every time we meet, before we start our meeting, you review that particular charter, and instantly we know what we're working on. Then have innovative meetings from time to time, an ideas session where we brainstorm and share ideas. Like I said earlier, mind the time zones, so I don't wake people up at the wrong time to engage with you at that point in time. Then reward collaboration. Whoever collaborates the most, or whoever is collaborating regularly, learn to show gratis. Thank the person for what he has done, so we can all benefit from that particular level as much as possible. This way, it will help us to deliver the kind of results that we want, and then we can achieve best results going forward. In terms of strategies, what kind of strategies will help us to deliver the kind of results that we're looking for? First, the line manager should conduct a town hall meeting from time to time. Conducting a town hall meeting will help you to get as many voices and opinions about what is going on, how to improve it and stuff like that. And just like I think it was, I'm not sure again, it was Leko who shared that he's in another session. Everybody who is working virtually has 1001 Zoom sessions that they attend. So ask your team members, what are their experiences in other sessions? How can we improve our own session? What are some things we can apply and start doing? Instantly, it drives engagement, it drives communication, it drives collaboration. And then share some action points. Maybe create some things that you expect people to do in order to achieve results as much as possible. When you get this material that we have covered so far in the past 2 hours, it is loaded with a lot of information. You can pick up from it and share with your team members and say, these are the things we're going to do. Then measure the success and see whether there are areas you need to correct and you need to adjust. So we can have a fantastic session and deliver the results we have always wanted to deliver as much as possible. So this session, I hope it has been worth the time for you. As a parting gift, I am going to request for the team members to give you the virtual manager. It's a book summary. It gives you a summary of what a manager, a virtual manager should be able to do and deliver as much as possible. It was written by Kevin Sheridan, all right? And then you can run through that book summary. And most probably they introduce you to an online book review platform. So I can learn on a daily basis and benefit from there as much as possible. Thank you very much for the opportunity to have spoken to you. Is there any other question we can discuss and chat and take this feedback before Gloria takes over?
Thank you for the gifts.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the gifts. It's been an amazing time, actually. No regrets. It was really impactful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. I learned a lot. More grace to your able, sir. And I also look forward to attending more trainings, as it comes by. Thank you for the book also, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Joel. Thanks. It was an impactful training. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Samuel.
For the book review team, are we going to be added immediately?
Okay. Gloria will take that conversation and then she will support you down the line.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hello, yes, please, Cindy.
Okay, all right. Oh, so I missed a lot, really, I guess, and I must say it's such an impactful one for me, based on the few I picked, and I'm pleading with you, please, to share the slides so I can catch up.
Yes, yes. They will share the slides.
All right, thank you, and thank you for the book as well.
Thank you very much, Gloria.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joel. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today.
If I may ask, do you have, sorry to cut in, do you have your training calendar?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do. We can actually send you that if you share your email address with us. We will send you that across to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's session. I actually really benefit a lot from the facilitator, even though I was sitting down close to him. He has really shared light to a lot of things and that I didn't know before now. So I really want to say thank you to everyone that has taken their time to attend this program. And so you can actually get the material for this program. We will send them to you, and the book that the facilitator has actually promised to give us all, that will be sent across to everyone. So let me just take this time to also introduce us to our next webinar program that is coming up. Our next webinar program that is coming up, and that is on social entrepreneurship and NGO development program. Now, this program is not just for individuals alone. The organization can also benefit from it, because every business is about entrepreneurship. So this is actually going to be beneficial to us as individual and also as an organization. So you can actually log on to this and just also subscribe to it. And again, good news, want to bring a good news to you that very soon we will be requiring everyone to subscribe to our P4PETalks. Now the subscription is going to work in different ways. We are going to be having 1 month subscription, quarterly subscription, and 1 year subscription. So we are saying if you subscribe to our learning system, you attend our trainings for as low as not as high as this, but it will be strict to a certain amount where it actually could be paid. So for the HR managers that are around us, you can actually inculcate this to your training plan and also work towards it. We are going to be sending us very soon what the requirement to actually join our subscription. So thank you so much everyone for attending today. We're looking forward to seeing you more in our other trainings that speak to your business and are also with beneficial to you. So if you have any more questions, you can actually quickly ask while I address it before we go. Do we have any more questions? So I guess we need to call it a day today. So we are going to be sending you the presentation slides soon and every other materials that need to be shared. Thank you all and have a great day today.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening.
Thank you. Hello, Michael.
Hello, mommy.
Are you in Nnamdi school?
Yes, sir.
Please go to his class and drag him down. If we so have a new teacher coming here by 5 o'clock, please.
Okay, I will tell the number.
Keep telling him to announce Nnamdi. He has to come down, please.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Faith.
Okay, now that's you and the sociology.